we're on buildingfortunesradio.com/OD. And we learned how to do this broadcasting, if you will, through video. And I'm really not a video guy, as you'll see, but Jody wants to do this on video, so we're doing it on video. We're going to have this on Facebook. We're going to have this on YouTube. We're going to have this on Twitch and a few other places as well. And we're going to talk about a lot of really cool and very interesting things. However, just to have a little bit of fun with this, Jody, can you hold up that 1,000-year-old vase in the back of your... in the back of your
Oh, I know. I wouldn't hold it up. I wouldn't hold it up. I would. Okay. This is how you do. This is how you do a zoom from the bottom. Okay. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, good. So that is like a vase from her husband, who's an archaeologist, and it's like 1,000 years old. Whenever you're looking in the background, so just stand still, Jody. No moving too much. Don't get too excited. Can't have the thing to turn over because Architect Bob will get pissed. But we are here. I'm going to share with you just a whole bunch of cool things. First of all, we like to have a lot of fun when we come on Building Fortunes Radio, but we're going to talk about something rather serious today. When I first met Jody, I knew that she was an exceptional individual. She's a super duper hard worker, and she really means a lot to a lot of people. Well, we started our radio show. She was working with a company. She got started with a company called Success by Health. She's a health coach. We do a lot of radio shows with Healthy. And as she was effectively building a business, and she's working this business, she's working with a lot of great people. I happen to do this radio show with her every what do we do? Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's where we do it live on the radio. And one of the things that happened is people like Mike King and lots of other really cool people are joining her, and they're working with her. And then all of a sudden, January of 2020, the whole thing came to a crash. And it was the FTC that actually shut them down in a typical Gestapo type way. I'm using my language, but Jay Nolan's coming in on a plane to do a seminar for people that spent their hard-earned dollars to get to a seminar. And all of a sudden, the whole thing is shut down. People's commission checks are not going to be delivered. Products aren't going to go to customers. Distributors who spent the last year or two building their livelihood are now out of work, and a receiver is appointed, and the rest of it is just a disaster. And that's just flat out wrong. So everything I believe in is what happened wrong to Dee Baer, Jay Nolan, Tommy Saka, a few other people that I know personally, as well as a whole bunch of distributors. And as I am the previous president of the Distributor Rights Association, I've fought wars with the FTC as far as business opportunity rulings. I've been the ex-president, if you will. Well, first I was the president before I was the ex-president of the Network Marketing Professionals, the ANMP. Then I'm on the board of the MLMIA and also on the Direct Selling Women's Alliance. So I'm kind of really into the concept of helping distributors make sure they get a fair share. What happened, in my opinion, and everything that I've seen so far, including what's been going on, Jody's going to tell you about, has just been absolutely unfair. And I know the FTC does a great job in many areas. This one where they're blowing it. So I'm just going to say that. And then I have a huge amount of faith in Dee Baer to deliver this wonderful message, to tell her a little about herself, and then also about this situation. So you want to sit in, because this is a very deep and dark story. So Dee Baer, thanks for being here on your own radio show.
And the radio show, that's the audio show, and now the absolute 2,000-year-old vase from Afghanistan, a priceless piece of pottery. Guess what? Isn't that just like a business that you build? You've got this priceless thing. It's worth everything to you. And then somebody just go ahead and put some silk flowers in it. Or maybe they're stinking flowers, because that's what the FTC did. Just had to tie that all in. And Bob Beer still loves me, but the silk flowers will be gone after this backdrop for this Zoom and this podcast presentation. But a little bit about me for our viewership that doesn't know. I'm a small town girl from a very, very rural part of Montana. Who would have ever thought that a girl from Montana would be able to go ahead and be a part of singing the world stages in life? And yes, I was a classically trained vocal musician, but my life found health and found the health-related, just the ability to have the body heal itself through some really great products. And actually, before that, through my mother's diagnosis with pancreatic and liver cancer, they gave her 6 weeks to live. Guess what? Through what I found in the library. Now that isn't a flash from the past. What I found in the library, 1981, actually gave her over 2.5 years length of life. So health became my passion. I found having these 2 young boys in diapers that I wanted something for myself, like many of you do with direct sales. Well, when I got a note, when my sons were 5 and 6, and it was on the kitchen table, it was from my husband that says, "I'm not coming home." Well, I knew that kind of slightly that didn't mean that he wasn't coming home for dinner. Yes, when the bank account, and I went ahead and dropped my sons off to school. And yes, I did go to the bank account. I did go to the teller, and the big number was 0. I knew that I had to get ready and to rock and roll and working. Why did I achieve the highest ranks in millionaire status in this business? Because I worked hard. I created it like something precious, just like this vase. I created something that meant the world to me, having the flexibility, and I called it time freedom. It was financial freedom to me because I didn't have to think, well, if he's behind on this Padre child support check, what am I going to do? See, direct sales gave me that freedom. And this is why when I went ahead and came back into the industry, when Bob Baer found me on the beach, and he just proposed to me a year later why this was so important, because I knew I could come back to the industry, but I found that the industry had kind of changed. There was a lot of recruiting going on, but not a lot of consumer sales until I found, or actually this company found me via me being coached by the one and only Mr. Jay Noland. I was coached by him. It was just a beautiful thing. And when I knew that he was coming out of retirement, I decided to postpone my retirement. Yes, because I knew that my first company was retail sales driven, made $1 million a year on a $4 eyeshadow and $7 lipstick. I certainly could do it on a cup of coffee. Guess what? Because 7 billion people in the world drink coffee. And this is what I know. I've just recently pulled up these figures. 80% of the sales with Success by Health, I want this on record on this podcast. 80% of the sales were customer driven in our company. So why do we say that the FTC, just for no other apparent reason except the one that's oldest in Greek mythology of all time, even older than this vase? Guess what? There was an executive in Success by Health. Guess what? This young man with 3 children and a wife, one of his daughters, special needs, decided that he wanted Mr. Noland's executive secretary. Well, that was against company policy. Fast forward, the secretary was fired. This executive was given a second chance, but he blew it a second time. And when he was terminated from his contract with a clause that was punitive damages because of what he did, a violation of terms and conditions. That's what businesses do, don't they? Guess what? This affiliate decided to seek revenge, and he went with 20 of his merry band of men and women, went to the FTC, and they compiled a vendetta against Mr. Jay Noland that just wreaks havoc. You see, in 2002, he was a top distributor like myself. It was the #1 distributor almost the entire time that I was a part of Success by Health. Guess what? They went after him. After he left the company 6 months later, he was exonerated, and the federal judge even said this cannot be construed for any wrongdoing. He was innocent, and the case needed to be dropped. Oh, the FTC didn't do that. Right after this, within 30 days, they started dogging him on the internet. This has been going on for this man for almost 20 years. Why? Because he has a way just like myself, just like the people that we've documented on Building Fortunes Radio that were a part of my team, growing it organically and coming through, that we could actually break through brick walls. What's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong, but apparently that is not de rigueur with the FTC. This is what I know. And this is what I believe is that, Peter, you are an expert in MLM. You can evaluate this. Tell me that I'm not absolutely 100% right in my synopsis, because you're on the outside looking in. Can't hear you, Peter. You're muted.
Oops. Well, what I had found when I was observing you guys from the beginning, remember, Jody, you told me you were going to be joining SBH, and we changed our radio show around to focus on SBH. So I was kind of following this from the beginning, and you were telling me everything that you were doing. And I was talking to your distributors as they were guest hosts, and they were telling me everything they were doing. And there were a lot of retail sales. I mean, the bottom line was there was a lot of focus on retail selling. And there was a lot of conversations about retail selling. And everybody knew the difference between retail selling and then personal production, meaning like personal sales, the ones that you're making to yourself. So there was a lot of people that were doing a lot of the right things. And Jay Nolan has a very charismatic personality, and people really like him. I mean, when you say run through a brick wall, he's the kind of guy that people will run through a brick wall for. And he did a lot of coaching and training. I was there because we were helping to promote, if you will, coaching program, because you would say, hey, we're doing something, and we're going to run the radio show on this. So I would listen, and then I would hear the people with the testimony. They would call me back, what's the link to the radio show? And they were giving me unbelievably great feedback on his training, the products, all of those types of things. And I'm talking about, Jody, the type of feedback that is, like, listen, this changed my life. This changed my health. The stuff that, the FTC probably wouldn't want people to put out on a brochure for sales purposes, but they would say, listen, I'm just doing amazing as far as health is concerned. My finances are up. I really feel I'm on track. This is a major league difference. So you guys were doing a lot of the right things.
Well, and frankly,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, but we were so conservative, even with our medical claims, that we'd say it's full body nutrition. Every single time I went out as a health coach, I would say, give the body what it needs. It can heal itself. That is not a violation from any of the three-letter agencies. I just had to throw that in. So I'm ready to bring this up to speed to tell people what we have done thus far.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden this thing abruptly halts. And to show you the fortitude of the distributors, they are really into doing whatever they possibly can to make sure that this thing gets back on track. There's a lot of people that have been hurt, and that they've contributed a lot of their money, not necessarily that they earned from SBH. I'm talking about a lot of their money to be able to prove this right, because this is a precedent not only for success by health and Jay Nolan and anybody else that's involved. This is a precedent for this industry. There was an overreach, in my opinion, by the FTC in this example specifically. And you guys are doing an amazing job shedding a light on this and dealing with the right. Let me tell you what the wrong word is. The wrong word is the corruption of the FTC. So I'm just telling you that's the wrong word, but that's the first word that kind of comes up in my mind as far as the corruption of the FTC related to how they're suppressing evidence, rubber stamping a whole bunch of things, not paying attention to your side of the equation. And I'm going to let you continue.
Thank you, Peter. And, it's at least we can say it's a grave overreach, but we can use the C word because it's our opinion. And this is what I know is that we just said enough was enough. There's 4,000 pages of evidence in front of the judge. We now have gone ahead, and that we did a radio show probably about a month and a half ago. And yes, our case was adjoined with the AMG case on the 13th of January. The oral arguments were heard. And yes, we adjoined via amicus briefs. There were 218 of them of us compiled on this amicus brief. And we're waiting to hear the oral arguments, what the final decision is from the Supreme Court of the United States. Very exciting. But we decided to as you fill up a dam in a dike, and you want to make sure that all and everything is plugged up prior to trial, we came together. And I came together because you always need a partner. I am first, Robert Mailer, who has been on the radio show and is my counterpart. We are suing jointly with Along, and now we have 428. We started with 33 influencers. Our attorneys only wanted 10. We came up with 33. Influencers, people that really, really were impacted with this, professionals from all walks of life, whether it's a millennial like Brooke Sherfield was my guest last week, to noted doctors, to husband and wife teams like myself, you name it. So we are now the face of every single component. Millennials who just had ridiculous college debt and then found themselves that we're going to be in debt for our whole lives, a way to get out. Then we've got the face of the forgotten couple like Buddy and Rhonda Wright that were a couple of weeks ago, risking it all and going in for their absolute priceless vase of their business and going in and deciding we're going to move to Texas, we're going to travel the world and be able to give our children far better opportunity than we'd ever imagined. That's the forgotten family. Then we've got me being a senior citizen. I'm the forgotten face of the component that wants to have this hedge against social insecurity. And then Robert, of course, having his storied corporate career, having an MBA from the Wharton School of Business. You've got this COVID era. They shut us down the month before COVID with this full body nutrition. How many people could we have helped during COVID? How many people did we not have the opportunity? At least 80% of our customer base, we know that now, don't we? And Robert Mailer is that corporate executive that wanted to reach out on his own, and it isn't there. So we joined together. We started with 33 influencers, then it went to 108. Now we're at 460. And it is my just plea with our listening audience, with our viewing audience, to get back with Peter, to get back to me at 1-800-820-0584. It's 1-800-820-0854. And or go ahead and I should say JODEE at healthcoachjody, it's my name twice.com. We want you to be a part. Why is it important? Well, frankly, a class action lawsuit, it's never been done. This is landmark case, a landmark case. It's going to say to the, and it is already is, it was filed 2 weeks ago. No more can the FTC stamp on incomes, livelihoods, lifestyles, and legacies. That covers it all now, doesn't it? No more can you just go in and just seize these assets because it's illegal to go ahead and isn't it guilty until proven innocent? That's what they're saying. Isn't it the opposite way? I believe it's innocent until proven guilty. Lack of freedom of speech, lack of due process, and yes, the Congressional Act, and Congress knows that this says in their Congressional Act of 1974, it says that you can only seize the net profits after you've closed a company down. Oh, they seized it all. They went ahead and seized all the assets, personal, professional, even Mr. Scott Harris, the president of our companies, his two young sons, because his checking account name happened to be Dad on there with sons, and they were in school at the University of Kentucky. Now, that's egregious, isn't it? That is corrupt, I believe. And what I know is we're saying no more. Now, this is where you can help listening audience, viewing audience. Mike King, that Peter referenced, has put together a superlative job with this change.org petition. It's change.org/FTC-action. Change.org/FTC-action. On there, you can sign the petition. You can go ahead under no obligation. You can drop it anytime. But if you go ahead and email either me or Mike King at King M as in Mary, R as in Mary Robert, King MR at outlook.com. You can then be joined via amicus brief. We now have 1,300 petitioners that have petitioned the change.org site. So we've gone from pissed off influencers to pissed off affiliates because you've changed our life, to pissed off customers because they haven't had this full body nutrition, to pissed off Americans. We just want to piss them off now, don't we? Why? Because they need to know that this is a country of the people and for the people. That's why it won't perish from the earth. Isn't that something we've heard before? It's restoring that constitutional republic. Yes, we're suing the FTC, and yes, where you can help us along the way, because we've had our first media break. I will be featured in a magazine called, Peter, you're going to love this. It is Direct Sales Diva. Does that fit me? Direct Sales Diva magazine. It has over 500,000 subscribers. I will be coming out, and it will be coming out of my article Thursday. So be looking for this Direct Sales Diva magazine. It's a digital magazine. It's our story. It's our plight. It's my story of raising these sons in direct sales to coming back in the industry when Bob Baer found me on the beach, only to find that everything was really turned upside down for us. Plans, hopes, and dreams. So do you have media contacts? And I'm not talking to getting to the president of CNN or the president of Fox News or NBC, ABC, CBS, but you have a local person, because we've hired, because she is an affiliate, we've hired our press release, public relations company. Ms. Kara Kennedy has done a phenomenal job of writing this up, writing this story, our story, that we said no more. Like I've said before, if you've seen the movie Just Mercy, this is the business version of Just Mercy. What is the story? Well, this Harvard-educated lawyer comes down to Alabama and finds Johnny D., who is on death row. He's on death row for a crime he never committed. As a matter of fact, he was just minding his own business with his tree company. He took down trees and sold them to the paper mill for a great profit. They framed him for this murder of this young 18-year-old girl. They put him into death row before he even got a trial. This is a true story. The attorney is Brian Stevenson. We have a call out and a possible meeting with his office this week. This is a business version, because when Brian Stevenson got in front of 60 Minutes with Johnny D's story, it turned everything around, and he didn't lose his life through the electric chair. And Brian Stevenson has gone on to absolutely turned the death sentences of hundreds of people all over the country because of this. Because one person acting can turn into a mass movement. That's what I'm asking right now. It's the power of one. Who do you know? Who do you know that we can get this story in front of? Just like I was down in CPAC, living northwest of Orlando. I went in, did my honey badger move, got through without credentials, not 1, but 2 days, because we must do this. We must do this. And you know why I must do this? For that picture that is behind me, those 2 pictures of my 3 grandkids. That's why I'm doing it. You do it for a living, a lifestyle, and now it's my legacy. And I'm asking you to help me find these media contacts, because when this story breaks, no more should they be able to go ahead and put a man in death row before he even has his trial. No more should a man like Jay Nolan, who's only helped people, know that they can go through brick walls. And I believe, and I'm going to say it, because of the color of his skin. Remember when we were in the hearing, it was a year ago, last February, the associate professor of economics, Ms. Stacy Bosley, not even a full doctorate or anything, got on the witness stand and said, many people are intrigued with the KKK. Now, I'm not intrigued with the KKK. Are you? Are you one of those many people that are intrigued with the KKK? And she had the unmitigated audacity to say that in the courtroom and compare MLM to the KKK. Those are the many people that are intrigued by that. So if you're one of the many people that are not intrigued by that, come join with me. Go ahead and just sign the petition to change.org, because it was allowed to stand with this judge when there was a visibly black man who is multiracial in the courtroom. And in this day and age, in 2020, Stacey Bosley was able to say, I am adjoining the KKK to MLM. That is my industry that gave my sons not only a living, took the stress away from me, but it gave us a lifestyle that my sons emulate now in the business world today. That's what it's given me. If you're out there and a fan of MLM, what has it given you? It costs you nothing to sign the change.org. Now, I will say that we have voluntarily kept food on the table and these executives in their homes, just like we have taken care of feeding, housing, clothing the Kenya kids, because that was our orphanage that we were aligned to before this shutdown. It affected the orphans. We in SBH, having no income and having it cut off just like that, we have gone ahead and been able to take care of that. We have taken care of these officers, these executives who have been maligned, and they are really executive orphans in my estimation. And we have taken care of voluntarily the legal bill. So if that moves you, go to Civil Rights Moment. It's civil rights, plural, moment.com. You can read the full story. You can contribute at T3 Movement, because what does T3 stand for? Transition to Truth. Come be a part of this movement, because this is what I know. Being the classically trained vocal musician, it says, America, of thee I sing. And God crown, God is another word for original name, Yahuwah, in the original connotation. Shed his grace on thee. We have had grace on this country, and crown thy good. This is good, with brotherhood. And let's just make it ring from sea to shining sea. Peter, I want to thank you again for giving me this platform and this call to action.
Excellent. So for some of the people that were wondering if you could repeat those domain names again, the change.org one, what is the change.org website, please?
It's change.org, O-R-G, /FTC -action. So it's change.org /FTC-action. And the other site that tells the complete story is civilrightsmoment.com, and that's civil rights, plural, moment.com. That are 3 compelling videos by Mr. Jay Noland. And then you can donate either on that site, Civil Rights Moment, through the change.org site, or you can go to T3, the number 3, movement.com, T3movement.com. And oh, by the way, if you want to get really fired up, this is an independent, as I referred to it a while ago, an independent peer-reviewed article from the Buffalo Law Review. And the title of it says, Does the FTC have blood on its hands? And there were traditional businesses, MLM, entrepreneurs, large corporations like AMG that was shut down by the FTC, $1.5 billion. Guess what? In this article, does the FTC have blood on its hands? Go to footnote 19. There were 20 business owners that committed suicide just over a lawsuit. Yes, the FTC has blood on its hands. And right here, right now, we have made a stand that said no more. Of thee we sing, because we are doing good, and it will be from sea to shining sea, Peter.
That's right. So for those people listening in, you're just hearing from Dee Baer. We do this radio show separately on Building Fortress Radio at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. If you go to buildingfortressradio.com/Joe D, you'll be able to hear the previous ones, and we'll be back there in about a half an hour today. But I just want to say thanks, Jody, for being here, and thanks for this wonderful presentation. Thanks for all the wonderful things you do, and I hope that nothing like this ever happens again, but it will, unless people take the stand. And that's a shame, because we watched literally how with literally, I don't remember what day it was specifically, January 13th, I think it was, or January 16th.
January 13th, 2020. And this is what I believe is providential. It's Sunday. I might as well say this. January 13th, 2020, they shot us down. They went ahead. The FTC met Jay Nolan coming from Latin America. His wife is from Colombia. We're coming back to a training with over 800 people, shut us down 3 days to go. And he has his 5-year-old son in his arms, and he got served. All right, that shouldn't happen to another living, breathing person. But if this is providential, this is where I come back to Sunday. January 13th, 2021 is when there was a hearing with the Supreme Court of the United States, where I believe, in reading the transcript, seeing the C-SPAN complete oral arguments, and being privy to the inside scoop with this, that if each of the justices could vote twice, it's coming down 18-0.
Okay, great news. So we're going to keep you guys posted. Thanks for everything that anyone has done to support this group, because on that date in 2020, literally their bank accounts were frozen. So if Jay Nolan wanted to use a debit card to buy that kid something at the airport, he couldn't. I think you said Scott Harris, but I think you meant Tommy Sock's sons were the ones with the bank account. I'm not sure if that's true, which one it was.
Scott Harris's 2 sons were in college, and they were there we go. Tommy Sock as well, him and his family.
So now you had people who literally, they couldn't put food on their table, couldn't pay their rent, or their mortgages, had their sons in school who had things closed down without a conversation. And yet, I mean, by comparison, Jody, we can talk about comparison over comparison over comparison, how many other companies are allowed to get away with literally everything, and how Jay Nolan and these fine people, including the distributors in the field, were shut down Gestapo style, and that's just flat out wrong. So the AMG Capital court case is going to be heard soon. But they still need money. You guys still need money. Unfortunately, it takes money to be able to fight. So make sure you go to the T3movement.com and donate. Everything counts. So everything certainly counts. We're going to catch you next time on Merchants Radio. So Jody, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for the tireless amount of work that you do. And we'll catch you next time, everyone. Thanks. Bye for now.